Afternoon, people. Hope you're all well. My voice is a little bit croaky, as you can probably imagine why. Yesterday, what a day. What an unbelievable day at the Emirates. The atmosphere was buzzing before and after the game, and rightly so. I think the atmosphere's been fantastic, home and away, for a couple of seasons now, and I do big up the new regime for that, and also the fan base deserve a lot of credit. I think the way that we played and the result of the end obviously helped with that, but throughout and before, singing the Saliba song, singing the other songs that have come into play for the new signings this season, it was a fantastic atmosphere, it has to be said. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a good weekend and are looking forward to the bank holiday weekend as well, which is, I think, going to be very sunny, which is always helpful. Listen, let's talk a little bit about yesterday, shall we? I was really impressed with how we come back from that, because there was parts of that game where I was a little bit worried. There was parts of that game where a lot of people were suggesting that perhaps this was going to be the game that could slip us up. Fulham are a team that have caused some problems already this season too. The first few games of the season, I would say they're probably looking at their season thinking they've got a chance of staying up. Mitrovic has been on fire and was a handful yesterday. And I think when we look at the players that were out in the team news, perhaps it was a little deflating in a couple of areas. I start with the team news. Thomas Partey out, Zinchenko out. A lot of people were concerned. And last season, I think we would have probably been more concerned. But El Neni and Tierney deputised. We're going to go into some kind of individual performances, but we're going for a team performance first. But just quickly on those two, I looked at the team news and it was a bit frustrating that Thomas Partey was out yet again. I don't know what's happened with him. I don't know if it's long term. I don't know if it's a couple of weeks out, a couple of months out. I have absolutely no idea. No one's spoken to me from that. So I hope that it was just a knock and he's going to be fine. But listen, Kieran Tierney, I didn't think was fit enough. If I'm honest, I still think he's trying to get back to full fitness. And you could tell, which we'll come on to later, as to reasons why we were missing Zinchenko and also missing Thomas Partey. El Neni comes in and does a job. He does. He comes in and does a job, and sometimes it's a really good job. Sometimes what El Neni brings to it is keeping things simple, keeping it solid. And I think yesterday he did that for most of the game. We just missed that spark with Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey has that ability to just do more than what Mohamed El Neni can do. So for me, it's all about trying to replace Thomas Partey now. And I look at it right now and I think it's so clear that we need that midfielder. It's so clear. And yesterday made it even clearer for us that El Neni and Lokonga can come in and do a job. Cedric can do a job. Holden can do a job. Eddie can do a job. But are they as good? Can we get better? Is there better options out there? And I think the answer is obviously yes. I still don't think we're done in the transfer window. And if you haven't checked out the latest stream that I've done, go and check that out. I talk about rumours of a right winger and rumours of the midfield surgery that's needed. And I still stand by that. And Tielemans and Neto are two players that we keep being linked with. I keep hearing the Zaha rumours that won't go away. For me, I look at it and think Neto and Tielemans yesterday would have probably given us what we needed. I think Saka for me was a little bit weak at parts of the game. And obviously we've just spoken about the midfield and the need for somebody like him, Tielemans. So it's going to be interesting now to see what we do in the coming days. But we got to look forward to Aston Villa on Wednesday. Talking about the team news, obviously we looked at the team and it was a little bit deflating in parts. But actually what I do like is the fact that we're keeping it quite similar. We can keep the momentum going. But going into this game, I've got to big up the players, but more importantly, I've got to big up the manager, because I think the game management yesterday was really good. And the reason I say that is because the substitutions, he could see that Tierney wasn't quite fit, dropped Saka into left back, allowed Xhaka to drop back into that role, had Eddie to bring on, allowed Jesus and him to switch, and Eddie to go a little bit wide, then switch in the middle and allow Jesus to go a little bit wide. And I think that allowed us to just spur on when we were needing to. I think the last 10, 15 minutes, we needed something a little bit different. And I think Mikel Arteta actually got it right. I do think that there's a definite bit of energy or intensity that was needed in that game. And I feel like Eddie does do that. I'm not a massive fan of him as a goal scorer. I think he misses too many opportunities. And again, I think he could have done a little bit better at times. But I do look at it and think, yeah, fair play. You know, he came on, he did well. And I think that he deserved a lot of credit. Saka, let's talk a little bit about Saka. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I look at Saka at the moment and I feel like, although I love the kid, And I love the fact that it's not all about him having a good game for Arsenal to have to win. I am looking at his performances now and not seeing them to the levels of the others. So I wonder if perhaps his position in the team is up for grabs currently. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be out of it forever, but I do think personally we need to have a look at what it is that we're going to do with Bukayo Saka and what the backup option is to Bukayo Saka. So that's going to be interesting. Parts of his game I really liked. Parts of his game I thought were a little bit off. And a few of the lads today in the group were saying they thought Saka was really poor. I thought it was a little bit harsh. I don't think he was really poor. I don't think anybody was, if I'm honest. But I can understand why perhaps people are asking for more from him. And I think sometimes when you look at Bukayo Saka's typical performances of last season, we're expecting that level every single week. It's not going to happen. He's still a young lad. He's only 20 years old. He's still learning. He's still trying to get into the game and understand how this new Arsenal side this season, how he's going to fit into that. And I do think personally that we're going to see a lot more from him, and performances will improve 100%. Be great to see him get more goals. I think more creativity from him, but he was a massive part of what we did in certain parts of that game, which were good. So I can't be too harsh on the lad, but I thought I'd bring it up because a lot of people were talking about him today, saying that he just wasn't that great. And I didn't think he was bad, but I didn't think he was shocking like some people were saying. I thought that was a little bit harsh. Let's talk about positives, shall we? Martin Odegaard. A player I've always liked, a player I've always questioned in terms of goal ratios, and there were still opportunities where he didn't shoot yesterday. But I actually really liked his performance. I thought it was really good, influential, driving us forward, instrumental in midfield. I thought the way that he delivered some of the passes was exceptional. I loved some of his link-up play. There seems to be an intelligence about his football, which I really like, and he seems just to be ahead of everybody else in the game. And it looks to me as if he can look one step ahead now, and he's starting to grow and show his intelligence on the pitch. It seems that when he's on the ball, he's really comfortable on it, and people seem happy to pass the ball to Martin Odegaard because they have the confidence that he's not going to deliver anything poor. He's not going to lose the ball. He's going to keep it well. The way he glides around the pitch with that left foot, it's fantastic. So I do look at it and think that he's playing really well. And more importantly for me, Martin Odegaard scoring goals. And I know it was the deflection, but sometimes you've got to shoot to allow it to score. And I've been crying out for him to shoot a lot this season. And he did yesterday, and he got it in the net. And I think when you look at that and the performances against Bournemouth, Martin Odegaard has answered the critics of I can't score goals, because in the last few games, what we had 4 games now, he's got 3 goals. So I look at what Martin Odegaard's doing at the moment, and I like everything about it. And what I'd love to see is him to then drive on and keep going. I don't want this to be a little blip and then he goes quiet again and have another blip. So we're going to be looking to see how many goals he can get this season. If he goes into double figures, we'll be happy with that. I think for a number 10 or an attacking 8, trying to hit those double figures and trying to get the assists along that kind of ratio as well, I think would be a fantastic part. So for me, I'm been a huge fan of what I've seen from Martin Odegaard, and I can really start to see now his leadership qualities on the pitch in a different type of way. I think by leading by example is the main reason why he's been given the armband. I personally am a little bit old school, and I quite like it when players can bark orders and can start ordering people around the pitch. I think we have got a few of those: Granit Xhaka, Gabriel, Kieran Tierney. But actually, when you look at what Martin Odegaard does in terms of his leadership, it is a lot different than that. And a lot of people do look up to him in that way. The communication levels there, the intelligence is there. There's a telepathy with a few of the players, and I think that those are some of the reasons why he captains Norway, and of course now captains Arsenal. So I'm okay with it. I did want Kieran Tierney, but as Tierney's proven again this season, it's hard to keep the guy on the pitch for 90 minutes. But for me, I think it's a fine decision from Mikel Arteta. Arteta deserves a lot of credit this summer for his transfer window, but also what he deserves a lot of credit for the performances. I think sometimes his substitutions can be left a little bit late, but I think he was spot on yesterday. I think there was a lot that I liked about his performance as a coach. And I think when we look at the team, a lot of people will say, oh, there we go. What's the word? We're still not learning. We still need to get these players in. Yeah, I agree with that. 100% agree with that. And we could have come up trumps yesterday, but we didn't. We got through it. We went a goal down and we turned it around. And I think a lot of the respect has to go to the manager and the players for that, 100%. One player, of course, who has to deserve a little bit of a mention and credit is Gabriel. I said yesterday to Robbie on AFTV that I thought Gabriel was one of the most underrated players that Arteta has signed, and I stand by it. I really think he's been consistently good. And when you see a mistake like that, although he's made a couple before, or he's a young defender, he's going to make a few. Sometimes when he's on the halfway line, he gets a bit rash. But actually, when you look at that mistake, you think, I like his reaction. He was gutted. He was absolutely gutted. And I want to see that. I want to see that pain. I want to see that hurt. I want to see that, Christ, I can't let that happen again. So I do need to look at Gabriel's performances. And when I see mistakes like that, think, fair play, you've learned from it. And that's exactly what happened. And that was why I was so impressed with him. He got the goal, which was a great goal, by the way, because that come at him quick, managed to be in the right place, right time, and he delivers. And I really like Gabriel's performances of the last couple of seasons at Arsenal. I think he's been our best centre half. I think he's been better than Ben White. And I think his partnership with Saliba has been superb. And that's the next player I want to mention. I love everything about this kid, man. I don't think I've seen a defender at 21 as good as him at Arsenal. I never saw Tony Adams. I was too young. I was born in 87 and probably started watching Arsenal 91, 92. So he wasn't a young 21-year-old like William Saliba. I don't think Tony Adams, from what I hear, had the pace or the stature. I don't think he had the physical attributes that Saliba does. I don't think he had the pace to get him out of trouble at times. But what I do see, and people say all the time, don't they? Compare him to a player, Dan. Compare him. I hate doing that. But the answer I have to it is Rio Ferdinand. Ball playing defender. Distribution's fantastic. I like his stature. I like his physical attributes. I think he's got the pace and power that Rio Ferdinand had. And sometimes he could make a mistake and get out of it because of that pace. I really like what I'm seeing from everything about this guy at the moment. I really do. He's one of my favourites. You know, he's one of my favourites. Everybody know Kieran Tierney is my favourite player. I look at Saliba and think, yeah, you're right up there, bro. You are right up there at the moment as being one of my favourites. I'm loving the consistency level. I really think he's calm and composed and comfortable, not just on the ball, but the aura around him, I think, has definitely lifted the whole team. But more importantly, that defense looks really solid now. And it was only really an individual error that allowed them to score. And we've had that a couple of times this season. And sometimes you might get frustrated by that. Yeah, I do. But when you look at how we're conceding goals right now, I don't believe they've been team errors. They've been individual errors. Sometimes that's better. No, it sounds annoying, but you can rectify those individual errors because they're rare. When it's a team not defending from a set piece regularly, or not being able to get their line right, or being bullied in a midfield area time and time again, we're not seeing that from Arsenal. We've seen goals against Leicester conceded because of individual errors. We saw an own goal. We saw a mistake from Ramsdale. We've now seen a mistake from Gabriel. I look at the way we've conceded and it hasn't really shocked me. It hasn't really disappointed me. It's disappointed me in a different type of way than perhaps it would disappoint me if it was a team error. So I'm quite happy with that. The other thing I mentioned yesterday, which was really interesting for me, I think Edu and Ashley Cole were the only two left-footed players in the Invincibles era that I can think of, because Pires was right-footed, obviously, on the opposite flank. All of our right-hand side was right-footed. Gilberto and Vieira were right-footed. Henry and Bergkamp were right-footed. There's only, I think, Ashley Cole and Edu that were left-footed in that side, in the Invincible squad. I look at how many players just in this first team are right-footed and left-footed, and it really impresses me. And I think that has allowed them to be comfortable in our style of play. I look at Ramsdale aside, the 10 outfield players. You've got Gabriel and Tierney and Zinchenko left-footed. You've got Ben White, Tomiyasu, and Saliba all right-footed. Granit Xhaka, Saka, left-footed, but Martinelli and Odegaard and Partey are right-footed. And then obviously Jesus is right-footed. So we've actually got 5 left-footers and 5 right-footers. And I think Mikel Arteta has really looked at that. Remember a few seasons ago, he kept playing the awful players like Kolasinac at left side centre-back because he was left-footed. Pablo Mari wanted to bring him because he was left-sided. I do think that matters to him. And you can see why now. 5 on one side, 5 on the other that all have that right foot. There's only really Martinelli that's right-footed playing on that left flank. Everybody else seems natural to be right-footed on the right side and left-footed on the left side. Trying to think, is there Odegaard and Martinelli that are opposite foot to where they're playing? I think that's about it, and I quite like that. I really do. So it's going to be interesting to see how that allows us to move forward, because I do think that matters and that's key. And listen, we should be able to say that professional footballers should have both feet and be a bit ambidextrous. And I think they probably all are, to be fair. But actually, when you look at how we've set up, I think it has allowed us to be a lot more comfortable on the ball. And I really like that, to be fair. Talking to some of the other individual players, I don't think anybody had a bad game, to be fair to you. I really don't. I thought El Neni, he's not a Thomas Partey. He's not got that different spark, but he was okay. I loved the performance at the back between Saliba and Gabriel, albeit a mistake had cost the goal. Mitrovic is a handful, let's be honest. But to show that resilience and to go 1-0 down and then to get back into it, I thought was fantastic. And, Odegaard deserves credit and Gabriel does too because of the way that they lifted us. I thought there was players that were tenacious. Saka I've mentioned, Martinelli again. Jesus is always going to be a handful. Some of our finishing yesterday, I would say, perhaps let us down. I think Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, they've all had opportunities within the last few games that perhaps people would have liked to see them put away. But we got through this game in a game that I don't think we would have a few seasons ago. And I love the never say die attitude, the resilience that I saw from Arsenal. It was really impressive. I really liked that. And what I also like is the fact that we've gone 1-0 down before against Wolves and turned it round. But other than that, we've really struggled. Excuse me. And sometimes when we've gone 1-0 up, we've sat back and brought the pressure on us. Sometimes when we've gone 1-0 down, we've either capitulated or crumbled and it's gone 2-0 or we've not been able to get back into the game. And the last season against Wolves, when we went 1-0 down, albeit to a mistake, funny enough, by Gabriel, we turned that game round in the last minute, and we did similarly this time. We kept going, we kept fighting, we kept knocking on the door. We did know that we had the quality and technical ability, in my opinion, to get ahead and inside of the defence that are fairly weak that Fulham would even admit by their own standards. And we managed to do the business. And I really did worry that VAR might try and rule it out with a handball or with an offside shout or something. I don't know. Because you always do, don't you? You sit in the stadium thinking, come on, what's happening here? Like, come on, VAR, don't let us down. And it didn't. And to be top of the league now, guys, 4 games gone. I did say that I fancied us to win our first 5 games, and I stand by that. Aston Villa on Wednesday night is going to be interesting because they're a team that aren't really playing fantastically well at the moment. So you'd fancy Arsenal at home against them. That will be 5 wins. Now, we're top of the league already. We're very comfortable, but it's very early days. We're only 4 games in. And if I'm honest with you, on paper, I don't think we've ever been not the favourite to win in these games. So I expected us to do well and have a good start. But when I look at the way things are at the moment, there just seems to be a little bit of a different aura about the place. And that's what I want to finish on. This fan base are exceptional. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it because I'm biased. I have never seen this fan base so good than this season, than the start of this season. We had some fantastic away performances, some fantastic home performances, and definitely for me, the fans deserved a lot of credit over the last couple of years. But the start of this season, home and away, have been exceptional. They were great at Crystal Palace, superb at Leicester for the first game. Never seen the Emirates rocking like that for a first game back in a long, long period of time. Bournemouth away, I mean, it's always a great away day, but my God, it was so loud. And I watched it back and I heard only us. And I know it's a small stadium, but trust me, they had more fans than us. You wouldn't have known it. And yesterday at the Emirates, before the game, singing the Saliba song, getting the crowd up, all of the fans in the concourse absolutely loving life, all together, all huddling, all hugging, all jumping up and down, and just experiencing what a football game should be all about. And there were times under Arsene Wenger and Unai Emery that didn't happen, for sure. Excuse me. And I think Mikel Arteta deserves a lot of credit for what he's done in the terms of that fan base, because I do think there's a connect now. It does seem different, for sure. It does seem that we go to the Emirates now and there's a feel about them amongst the fan base that there's going to be good things at Arsenal. And what I wanted to bring this up for was because Richard Keys and Andy Gray have come out as the celebration police yet again. Now, I'm all for over celebrating, and calling it out. I did the same with Tottenham the other day when they were going absolutely nuts about getting a last minute point at Stamford Bridge. And I understand if it's a last minute winner. And I called Arsenal fans out when they did it before, when Lacazette scored a last minute goal against Palace, I think it was last year. I couldn't get excited. But I'm all for celebrating wins. That's what we go to football for, isn't it? To celebrate a win. Why would we not want to go to a football game and walk off the pitch and go, yeah, we beat Fulham 2-1, let's just go home? Why would we do that? Why is it a problem for Arsenal fans or football fans to celebrate winning football games? I don't get it. I don't understand that. I'm all for calling people out if you're running around because you drew 2-2. I'm all for calling out if you get a last minute winner against Accrington Stanley and start acting like you've won the World Cup. I'm all for calling that out. But when you actually look at that performance, it was tough. Sorry, it might have been Fulham, but it was tough. Fulham can look at themselves and hold their heads up high so far in the first 4 games. They've been tipped to go down. They've given every single team they faced a real hard game. They've not managed to get the results in some games, but they gave Liverpool a torrid time. They definitely can say they've given Arsenal a torrid time, and fair play to them. So if we manage to turn that game around after going 1-0 down, with 5 minutes to go, we win the game, I'm all for celebrating it. And I don't know why the fans are getting a lot of stick for that. Because, like I say, if we start doing the celebrations that are over the top for games that perhaps we should have won on paper comfortably but didn't, then you can sort of say, I kind of understand half what people are saying, that perhaps sometimes we're over the top. And that Fulham, people were saying 4-0, 4-1, 3-1 before the game. We managed to turn it around and nick 2-1. So be it. It's a tough team. You can only beat the teams in front of you. And I sometimes get frustrated because I look at what we're doing in terms of our celebration to some of the other teams. And it seems that let's all just dig in and dig out Arsenal all the time. I don't really understand why. Sometimes I laugh and I smile because they only have that to talk about and it's funny. They haven't got the usual embarrassment of Arsenal getting bullied or beaten up by Brentford away or Palace away. They don't have the laughter of losing at Brighton at home at the moment and losing to Southampton and getting pummeled by Man City and Liverpool. So when that doesn't go so well for them and they can't laugh at that, let's just laugh at their celebrations then. Very odd. I don't quite get it. Maybe I'm saying it because I'm biased. Maybe the fan and maybe the media aren't against Arsenal. And I'm not saying that they are, but it just does seem strange that other teams are happy to celebrate whenever they win. But as soon as we do, oh, let's get on Arsenal. Long may it continue, because if that's all they've got to slate us about, I'll take it. If they can only slate us for winning games, then more for them, man. Just appreciate what we're doing at the moment. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it will come to an end. It will, but for sure it will. And I honestly believe that the media are running out of things to slate Arsenal about. So now they've decided to have a go at us for celebrating a win. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Like, celebrate, how are we going to slate Arsenal today? Oh, they won, didn't they, too? What are we going to say? I'll just say they've over-celebrated a bit. That'll do. It's just unbelievable. It really is crazy. So, listen, enjoy Arsenal at the moment, guys, because it's a happy place. Enjoy what you're seeing. And celebrate it how you want it. You go to your football club, you support your club how you want. If you want to walk out the ground and go straight to the pub and go home, you do it. If you want to stay there till the end and celebrate, you do it. If you want to go over the top and start getting champagne out, you do what you want. Doesn't bother me. If people think it's over the top, then so be it. Expect that criticism and allow them to justify the reasons as to why they think it's over the top. But as long as you're enjoying it, man, who cares? Who actually cares? If you go to the weekend after a hard day's work and you think, I want to celebrate us winning at football, go and do it, man. Why who is anyone else to say that we are not allowed to do that? I just think it's mad that is the case in this day and age, but so be it. When it comes to our run of games now, a lot of people don't like to look ahead. They like to take one game at a time. And I think that's the right thing to do. Excuse me. As a coach, as a manager, I'll be doing exactly the same thing. But as a fan, you can't help but look ahead. And I did that at the start of the season. I said that Palace would be a tough game, but it'll be the toughest of the first 5. We managed to get through that. Leicester and Fulham were definitely no pushovers, and Fulham showed that they were probably our toughest opponent, so to speak, I would say, in this first 5 games. Villa are going to be a different animal for sure. Villa are a team that, let's be honest, always give their best against Arsenal and have always caused some problems for us in the past. We see only a couple of seasons ago, Villa thumped us with Jack Grealish playing for them. We've had problems, I think it was the season before that, where we had them on the last game of the season, but won, and we lost at their place 1-0. We've had definite problems before with Aston Villa, home and away, over the coming years. I can think of Gabby and Bonlahor scoring against us. I can think of our fight with Martin O'Neill's Aston Villa over the years, trying to get 4th place with them. So it's a team that I always respect, a team I always like, a team that should be in the Premier League and are a massive club. But I don't really think they're playing that great under Steven Gerrard this season. And I think he's under a lot of pressure. I think what Gerrard's done is spent quite a lot of money. He can definitely say that he's been backed by the board. They're happy to spend money and they trust him. So he's going to have to start to get results on the board. And we all know Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins can cause problems. We all know that Coutinho and Buendia have some technical ability in their side and they have some pace on the wings. They brought in some new players now that have definitely given some leadership qualities and some steel, like Diego Carlos. And I think when you look at what they're trying to build, it's a team that can compete towards the top half of the table and get into that, European Conference League area between 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. And that's the sort of area that I think Villa will be looking at. So it's going to be a tough game, but I really do feel that we've got enough for them. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mikel Arteta does because, we're in a situation now for the first time where we're playing 2 games in 8 days. Now, that's going to be a really interesting um, a really interesting game. We've got 2 free games coming up in the next sort of 8 days, and that's where we need to start using our squad. And that's why I'm a little bit surprised as to why we didn't get a couple of more players in by now, but I imagine that we will in the coming days, and they will really help us moving forward. The 5 sub thing is great, but this is where we utilize it. Do we see a little bit of squad rotation on Wednesday night? That's going to be interesting. Do we see, some of the players rested? Do we see some of the players come in like Fabio Vieira? Do we see Tommy Asu start? Do we see some players being rested in our midfield and defence? Do we look at Gabriel Jesus as playing 60 minutes and coming off? Where do we go with this? Because we can't play the same 11 every single time. We're going to need a little bit of a squad and rotation and understand where the player's fitness comes into importance. So I'm really looking forward to see where we're going there. I want to see Fabio Vieira because we haven't seen him. I'd like to see Marquinhos, who's apparently doing well in the under-21s. Potentially, we'll see them in the Europa League stages and the group stages, and the League Cup or Carabao Cup, as people now call it. But I think there would be a need in this game, as long as things are comfortable, to start making some changes. I'd love to see us have a start that we've had against Leicester, against Bournemouth, and go from there against Aston Villa. And then it makes us a hell of a lot easier to work with our substitutions moving forward. But it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see what we do in the coming days and allow that squad to grow. I really like what I'm seeing at the moment. I really like what I'm seeing from what Edu and Arteta have done this window. I think there needs to be more done. I think we're on the brink of a 6 or 7 out of 10 at the moment. Let's try and make that a 7 or 8 by bringing the next 2 or 3 players in the coming days that everybody knows that we need. And if we can actually look at Neto and Tielemans, let's just say it's going to be them two. That's got to be one of the best transfer windows in a long time. Jesus, Zinchenko, Vieira, Marquinhos, Saliba coming back, and also Neto and Tielemans. I think a lot of people would say most of them are Premier League proven, and the ones that aren't have all got a high ceiling and a good future at Arsenal from what we're being told. So that's got to be a very positive Arsenal window. And, people will say to me, "Oh, Dan, you're being positive." Yeah, I am. I'm being positive. Why do you think I'm being positive, guys? Because what I'm seeing is allowing me to be positive. And that's all I do. I use the eye test. I don't make stuff up. I don't stay in one opinion. Happy for my opinions to be changed throughout the season. And they have at times on players, certainly. On the manager, I've not been 100% convinced in the last 3 years or 2.5 years, as people will say, but I think it's been justified. I don't think he's proved that in the league that he's shown much progress. And I don't think that he's been able to win anything for us other than the first trophy that he'd got, or to be fair, get close to winning. So I think it's going to be interesting now to see what Mikel Arteta and Edu can do in the coming weeks, and then see what Arteta can do with this current Arsenal side, because this current Arsenal side is being showing evidence that it's definitely good enough for the Champions League, and that with 2 or 3 more, it can probably get and stay close for a long period of time to Manchester City. I don't think it's good enough to win the league. I don't think we're going to go for a title challenge. But what I will say is that I think the other teams around us are showing that they are in and around the same level of quality than Arsenal, and they're certainly not ahead of them. So I don't want to be seeing Arsenal come in 6th, 7th, or 8th this season, because I don't think that the team is anywhere near that bad. And we've seen, haven't we, the improvements to some of the players. We've seen the development of players like Saliba. We've seen the improvements already with the free players that have come in that are new in Saliba, Gabriel, Jesus, and Zinchenko. We've seen new positions utilised for Ben White and Saka, which at the moment is working well. What I will leave you on, guys, we need to see what this side is like when it comes up against one of the big boys. And I know Man United are poor at the moment, and yesterday they weren't amazing. They got the 3 points. But let's see what we're like at Old Trafford. Let's welcome Man City, Liverpool, and Spurs soon in the coming weeks to the Emirates and see what this Arsenal side's all about. And that's the one I'm looking forward to. They're the games I look forward to, because last season we were terrible against them. Yeah, we got battered by Man City, battered at Anfield, couldn't do the job at home to Liverpool, played well in the first half and most of the game against Manchester City at home, but lost the game. Terrible at White Hart Lane. Not good enough in certain games against some of the big boys last season. Let's see what we're like this season. And that is where I'm going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much for all being in the chat. Thank you so much for all listening. Absolutely love the fact you keep coming back and listening to me. You lot are absolutely mad. Absolutely love it. Loving Arsenal at the moment. Loving being an Arsenal fan. Loving the fan base connects with the players, and I'm loving the fact that we can go to every games with our mates, enjoying it and loving what we love best, and that's watching Arsenal win football games. And that's all we want, guys. We all want the same thing. We might have opinions that change. We might have opinions that differ. You might look at some opinion and think he's deluded because he thinks Arsenal are going to win the league. You might look at somebody and think they're negative or they're toxic because they don't really believe yet that they've seen enough to be convinced. We're all different. We are all completely different. But we ain't different to one thing, and that's wanting Arsenal to win football matches. And that's what everybody wants right now, is Arsenal on the top of that table for as long as possible, winning football games. And then long may that continue, and let's hope that's the case. Guys, we'll see you next time. Take it easy, up the Arsenal, and take care of yourself. Laters.